The moment has arrived.
I pushed the button. It's going to work.
This is going to be scary good, man.
I'm sorry.
We're killing it. It's Maddie Levine with my good friend Devin Auken. Welcome to the Fight Banana Show.
The ruthless one, Elle Dawson.
Hey, guys.
Our girl, Gillian, the Savage Robertson.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Welcome to the Fight Bananas Show. 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Fight Bananas.
What's up, guys? How is everyone doing? What is it, August 13th? Elle Dawson, you live?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Fergie and Jesus sounds just like Elle Dawson. Elle, my friend. Haven't seen you in forever.
I know. It's been wild. It's like we just never hang out anymore.
I know. It's so funny. We have so much to talk about. This show is absolutely packed. Let me push a couple buttons there so people can see what's at the bottom of the show. But guys, a huge pay-per-view week, always fun. UFC 305. We have a humongous middleweight championship match to get into. Guys, we have PFL Hollywood. Elle Dawson will be there live this week. Elle and I was just at Island Fights. So a lot of kind of to talk about, and of course, so with UFC Vegas 95. But I thought about this, Elle. I felt like a year ago, you and I, we saw each other maybe like once, maybe twice a year if we were lucky. We've been with each other like every other weekend for like a month or 2 months straight. It's been a good run. It's been a good run.
I'm really over Dave at this point, guys.
All right, that's the video. I'm sending it away. That's the video. It's like I'm gonna collage all the pictures of us like hugging and have great smiles on it, and then you saying that. That's
just
the video.
over Dave.
Oh, what a run. Jeez, Elle Dawson's the best. She is the best of us, guys. What's up, Joe? Of course, come on through. Anyone, any comments, any questions, we'll go through it all. Tuesday night. I know, guys, the Contender Series is back tonight. I don't want to be too hyperbolic. It might be my favorite show. I love Tuesday night fights. I love it. The kids go to bed during the middle of the school week. Boom. Love it. I cannot wait. Love it. Also, another fun announcement. This Saturday night, we're going to do a UFC 305 watch along. So if you want to save $80 or $70 and just watch me and my buddy Michael talk about Izzy kicking DDP's calf, come watch it, So there you go. Maybe
to be clear, you cannot watch the fights. So don't hop on and then ask us where the fights are.
You can't do it. Can't do it. We'll get kicked off. Kicked off. Totally my favorite. I agree, Andrew. It's I love it. I love the Contender Series. I love it. So, okay, like I said, we got 4 guests. Jonathan Piersma coming on at 110. He's going to be trying to fight for the UFC. James Lynch, we love us some James Lynch. I think that's going to be mostly a 305 huge breakdown at 130. We got our Savage coming on at 2, and then Devin Adams will be the Island Fights around 220. So, Elle, my first kind of thing, I guess this kind of hit it right off the top. Yeah, no, Keelan, great point. Look at this. This is a really cool fight. They just announced in October. AJ McKee and Paul Hughes. Really, really cool fight. Wow. Look at this comment. There we go. Miss Carly Connor. Elle's hair deserves a whole comment.
Thanks, Carly.
And it takes no time at all for Elle's hair to get ready. I firsthand, no time at all. It's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
When it's like this, yes, 5 minutes.
It does. It looks phenomenal. You're in Hollywood right now. We've been seeing our good friend Carissa Maxwell behind the scenes at Impa's new gym and all that stuff. I know you're going to be there tomorrow, and I don't want to go too much into it, but like, what's your take on, PFL Hollywood being in kind of your neck of the woods?
This is still a really cool card. I definitely, it's going to be hard to rival Nashville. The card was phenomenal. The fights were so good. The atmosphere in Nashville was so great, but this is kind of cool. Like, it's here at home. I get to just drive 30 minutes south of where I live and hang out at the Hard Rock, which is such a cool area. And then there's also a lot of fighters I know on this card, like I'm going to get to talk to Josh Silveira, Impa, who are fighting each other, both awesome guys, both
great dudes,
both great people to talk to and interview. So I feel like it's just going to be such a fun week of like collecting content.
I totally concur. Christopher J, what's up, brother? Great weekend as well. We had a great picture. And yes, Trey, we will definitely talk about it. 2:20 on the East Coast, so an hour and 15 minutes from now, Pensacola, Island Fights 84. Guys, I don't want to go too much behind the curtain. I talked to almost everyone involved in that show. It could have been the greatest Island Fights of all time. Like, I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic. The fights were incredible from the first fight to the last fight. I really think we saw future UFC superstars. Two people, one person literally signed a PFL contract a day afterwards. I think we're allowed to say it on the show. If I'm not, screw it. I'm going to do it anyways. Tyler Zombie Hill's going to the PFL. If I'm not allowed, it is what it is. He will be at PFL Washington. So people are going to Island Fights and signing major deals. On the amateur side, Cam Bennett, with me doing commentary, and it's like you're in a tunnel. It's really hard to watch everything. And I know he was a little bit down on himself on the fight. Cam Bennett, we had him on last week. He was down on himself. We had a little quick intermission. I'm running to the bathroom to run back, and I see him, and he's super down on himself. And I ran to him. I said 8 words. I'm like, brother, you won the fight. You can't be too down on yourselves. You won. At the end of the day, you win. You keep moving on. It's a lesson learned. That guy was who he thought was really good, really strong in the clinch. You win, you move on. But the highlight of the amateur side, John Gunther, for goodness sake, is that guy good? John Gunther is good.
A lot of these guys don't look like amateurs. Like I just want to credit to the regional scene and how good of a job Devin's done as a matchmaker and Dean has done putting on these shows and finding all this local talent, because these amateur fights are legitimately high-level fights.
Yeah. Cam, there you go, watching the show. Dude, you got a W. That's the most important thing, and you move on, and it's a lesson, and you just keep getting better and better. So cannot wait. Well, like I said, guys, an hour and 13 minutes, we'll go all in. Devin Adams will break down the card, almost fight by fight, and just kind of the or. It was packed, Elle. It was packed. A huge arena. It was a fun night. Island Fights 84, shout out. 1 or 2 more minutes before our guy, Jonathan Piersma, comes on. Guys, UFC 305 is this Saturday. A lot of great fights on it, but Izzy versus DDP versus the UFC Middleweight Championship of the World. Elle, you don't have to spoiler if you don't want to have a hot take if you don't want to, but where are you at on that fight? Such a big fight. I love it. It's a really good fight.
Yeah, it's a fantastic fight. Hang on. It's probably not going to be the most exciting fight we'll see that night by any means. Like, I think it's a stacked card. There's guys like Dan Hooker on that card. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting fight, but I do think it's a very close fight. This is a very close fight. I can't really side with the people who are like, oh, there's absolutely no way Izzy wins this fight versus the people who say that there's absolutely no way he loses this fight. I think that it's incredibly close on paper, stylistically. This is a tough matchup for both guys. And my heart is still leaning a little bit DDP, but I've been so back and forth. I've literally alternated almost every single day.
Okay.
It's hard. Like when I look at the way Izzy has been out wrestled in the past, I'm like, man, DDP can capitalize on that. If I look at the way that DDP is very reckless and sometimes very hittable, okay, Izzy can capitalize on that. He's super heavy on that lead leg. Izzy has a phenomenal calf kick. So there's so many pieces to this. It's a really fascinating fight to break down, but no, I do not have a strong take one way or the other.
I love that and respect that, because a lot of people in the MMA space will just have to scream on the top of the roof one way or the other, even if they don't believe it. So I respect that. Sometimes on a fight, you have a stronger take one way or the other, and sometimes we're right or sometimes we're wrong, and sometimes we're in the middle. So I really do respect that. I didn't know your answer. Also, real quick shout, top left corner, Productive Athletics Club. Shout out to them. Great stuff, great merch. I always love wearing their hoodie at night. So shout out to them for sure. I was going to say this. Cam just threw it up there. Literally, Christopher J said the same thing. I'm leaning that way. I just am. And I know it's cliche or there's all those buzzwords. There's something about him being a challenger, him kind of being his back against the wall. Guys, you ready for this one? If Israel Adesanya loses this fight, does he ever fight for a world championship again? Does Israel Adesanya ever headline a pay-per-view again? This is maybe the most pivotal fight in the later end of his career. I think he knows that. I think he's a smart guy. He's very, strategic in what he does. I think he knows he needs to win this fight. If Izzy wins this fight, it sets up, of course, the Strickland rematch that I would assume he definitely wants back. He told his parents, he's like, I'll get that one back. Trust me. I don't know if you saw that kind of video. It's really kind of sincere. It's amazing. He's like, I'll get that back, mom and dad. Don't worry. So I thought that was really cool. So, I think it's a big fight. And I don't know why DDP is just never like blew me away. He's never impressed me. And I know he's defeated Bobby Knuckles, who like I was so dead wrong on that
Every
fight.
time he fights, I'm like, no, there's no way he beats the next guy. And I'm always wrong.
Yeah.
Dave, you forgot about your favorite stat.
The 35.
Izzy's 35.
No, it's
I know it's flyweight to welterweight.
Like welterweight or younger. And Bilal just did it too. So maybe the stat's over. Maybe the stat's over. Talking about not being over, a guy who's just about to start his career to maybe the next level. Guy, I've seen on the regional scene in the Northeast for a long time. 9-2, 28 years young. Got a big fight. I believe it's August 23rd. Let's bring him in for the very first time here on the Fight Banana Show. Jonathan Piersma, my man. Jonathan, how you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. First and foremost, kind of following you on socials and seeing some of your stuff. How the hell did you get the nickname Warhawk? Greatest nickname ever by a fighter. Like, how the hell did you get that?
That's funny. It's actually Hawk is my middle name.
Okay.
So I when I first went pro, my manager at the time told me I needed a nickname, and I was like, I'm not gonna come up with my own, so find one for me, I guess. And he found out my middle name's Hawk, and he came up with it, and we went from there. Kind of stuck.
I like it. And brother, nice shirt. Is that the Kevin Carrier original?
Kevin, yeah. I just threw it on this morning.
Bro, I almost had the shirt on. I literally almost had that shirt on. I had it on.
Yeah.
I had to put on the sponsor shirt. I had to make some money. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's fair.
But no, much love. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out. So my man, big fight, August 23rd. I know you said it was, I think on your post, you said it was kind of short notice. Is that true?
Yeah.
How much notice did you have for this?
Yeah, this was I got about 2 weeks or just over 2 weeks, I think about 15 days. My manager called me up because ever since my last fight at the end of May, we've kind of just been waiting around, kind of waiting for a UFC opportunity, not really looking to fight regionally. So yeah, about 15 days out from the event, my manager called me up. He said, the UFC just called me, said, are you interested in this opportunity? And I was like, yeah, I was just ready for anything they brought to me. So when it came, I was like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, I think it was about 15 days. They called me up and asked me if I wanted to do it. So we said, yeah.
It's funny that you say that because I talked to so many fighters that are in that spot where you were. You just won a big main event of one of the bigger regional scenes shows with Cage Titans and all that nature. And it's like, what's next? It's like, do you take another big fight for another bigger show like that? Or do you kind of like play that waiting game because it's you just never know the opportunity could come quick or next thing you know, it's been 8 months and you never get that call. It's a weird spot. Did you think about what you were going to do beforehand or did you have your spot like, hey, no, I'm waiting. The UFC is going to call me. I believe it's going to happen. That's my mindset. That was my last one at your last main event when at Cage Titans.
Yeah. So as soon as I got done with that main event, at 3-0 this year, 3 finishes, won the belt for Cage Titans. I knew that I was, right on the edge and I knew I was close. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a little while. I'm going to wait. I probably wouldn't have waited forever. I think I was thinking, probably September, October. If I hadn't heard anything, I'd probably gear up and maybe take a fight. But yeah, I was in kind of that weird spot of just, kind of training, trying to stay ready. But also waiting because, didn't want to really take another regional fight if I didn't have to. So, I was just waiting for a little while, enjoying the summer a little bit. But, I'm sure come September, October, I would have got pretty antsy and probably had to jump in there and get something. But luckily, the opportunity came. So, I guess it was worth the wait.
I would love your take on, you're doing the road to the UFC. Tonight is the kickoff to Dana White Contender Series. I was lucky enough. I was at the second season 2 of Dana White Contender Series of the first episode. That show is different. Like that show is just so exciting. There's nothing like it. I always tell people about like, if you're not into MMA, like it's weird. It's like a job interview and the Super Bowl in one thing. It's such a weird kind of thing about it. It's the biggest fight of your life, but you don't know what's going to happen on the outside of it. Of course, there's the Ultimate Fighter. I know, like, I know you're locked into this spot. Did you think about the different opportunities you're going to have, or maybe even a short notice fight against a big time fighter on a pay-per-view? Did you think about different opportunities or which avenue you wanted to take, or you just wanted to get your foot in the door?
Yeah, really. I just wanted to get in and do any opportunity they could bring me. This road to the UFC probably wasn't one of the ones that I thought was going to come my way.
Yeah.
As I was waiting, my manager had been kind of in talks with the UFC, and they kind of had me on a short notice, like call-up list. So I was kind of had that in my head of maybe it would be like a short notice, and every time like a 170 guy would drop out, I would text my manager and be like, "Oh, opening." So I thought maybe that's what the short notice would be like a short notice fill-in for a UFC card. But I was willing to do contenders. I was willing to do anything. I told my manager that. They told the UFC that. They're like, anything you got, any opportunity to get me in, get me a contract, like I was ready to jump on it. So yeah, I was just kind of ready for any opportunity that came my way. Like I said, this road to the UFC wasn't what I originally thought would it be, but that's an opportunity. So we said, yeah, let's take it. Let's do it.
What's your take on sometimes short notice fights sometimes happen to, highlight? I remember Jack Della Maddalena fought a short notice guy, Baz. What's your take? Would you have taken anything? Like, would you have, if something happened and Usman needed a fight and you would have fought Usman on 4 days? Like, was it literally anyone in the welterweight division? Or do you have to kind of be a little bit more professional with your career about like, hey guys, right now in my stage of my career, I'm probably not going to fight Kamaru Usman in a co-main event. Like, where are you at mentally on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have been willing to jump on any opportunity short notice, especially for like a UFC card.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, they're probably not going to bring me in to fight Kamaru Usman, but any short notice opportunity that you were going to call me with, I even told them I'd do 185 if they had a short notice.
Okay.
So really any opportunity that they had, I was really ready to jump on it, because you never know it'd be hard to turn down because you don't know when you're going to get another one. Even with this opportunity, it was like kind of went back and forth with my manager. He's like, it's not really a UFC contract. Hopefully it gets you one. A really top level prospect we're fighting, but I was like,
really good name.
Who knows when this opportunity could come. It could be another 8 months before they call me. So, I'd rather, take this opportunity, make the most of it than, sit around and wait and then maybe regret not taking it. So, it's not ideal circumstances. Short notice never is, but, I told myself I'd be willing to go on any short notice opportunity that came our way, and this is what it was. So I, stuck to my word and took it, and, now we're almost a week out from it. So
it's crazy. It is. It's around the corner. I got one more for you, and then Elle, if you want to jump in, one or two. I would love your take because he's so polarizing. There's no middle ground for this fighter. People kind of respect him and love him, or they kind of bash on him. What's your take on the UFC welterweight champion, Bilal Muhammad?
I mean, you got to give him his props. He's a good fighter. He went and beat Leon, who everyone thought was, the best, 170er in the world right now. He went in there, beat him, pretty convincingly. So, I mean, you got to give him his props. He worked his way up. I mean, like, I just think people don't really like his personality, which, I mean, I can see he's a little bit not my style. But as far as a fighter, you got to give him his props. Like, he earned it. He's a champ, so good for him. But, yeah.
Gotcha. Else?
I obviously, sorry about that. My internet, I don't know what it's doing. So I missed it. Forgive me if you've already answered this question, but I just kind of wanted to get your take on like the different ways that people get into the UFC. Obviously, we have Contender Series tonight. We have the Ultimate Fighter tonight. Did you already ask this? Is that why you're laughing? Oh, never mind. See, yeah. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Hey, Elle, it's all good, man. It's all good. All good.
My internet is not my friend today.
It's all good.
All good. All good. Jonathan, this Saturday night, UFC 305, you got Izzy or DDP?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yes. Everyone's 50.
Before DDP beat Strickland, I probably would have went Izzy. I'm gonna go Izzy, but I don't know. It could go either way.
I feel like that's the masses. I don't hear a super confident one way or another. And even I'm picking Izzy. Challenger Izzy is a different beast.
I think if Izzy,
I'm not confident.
If Izzy fights like he was, like a year or two ago, I think he can definitely win that fight. If he shows up like he did against Strickland, Who knows? Because DDP is a brute. I mean, he might be able to grab him, kind of hold on to him, overwhelm him with pressure. But Izzy could also, just pick him apart from the outside and win a decision. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that one.
For sure. I got another one. I because it's close to me a little bit. I do different scenes, and I work for Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA. Yeah. There's so many different avenues of fighting and making money now in 2024 with what Jake Paul is doing and so much other bare knuckle stuff. And there's misfit boxing. There's just so much other out there. Jonathan, are you kind of hey, I want to work. I want to fight for the UFC. It's the pinnacle of MMA. Or are you just kind of like, hey, I want to be a mixed martial artist or a fighter that just makes money? Where are you at on that scenario?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a tough question because, for me, ever since I started fighting pro and, everyone watches the UFC and, that's the place where you can really make your name and, really, show yourself as one of the best in the world. So I think at this point in my career, kind of like I'm still young. So I'm really, I'm really set on trying to get to the UFC. I really want to be in the UFC and make my way up. But also at the end of the day, I'm doing this to make money. So, if something came along that was just a crazy amount of money, obviously it'd be hard to turn down. So that's tough. Yeah, I really want to be in the UFC and, I'll go and win this fight. Hopefully I get a contract. I'm with the UFC. But also, at the end of the day, it's about making money and, it'd be hard to turn down opportunities that were, big money. So yeah, it's tough. I think right now I'm really focused on the UFC route. That's really my goal. But I would never say never to anything else later in my career.
Yeah, no, I respect it. It really is. It's wild how much different avenues there was. Like 6 years ago, it was like, hey, you worked for the UFC, or maybe you were a Bellator guy. Like there was that. Now there's just 20 different avenues to make good money. Like it's not even just like bad money. Sometimes, I know guys that are doing better outside the UFC than inside the UFC.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I think I could, especially at the point in my career, I think I could take a different path and make more money quicker.
Yeah.
Where I'm sitting, I'm looking at it as like I want to, I want to get to the UFC, work my way up, and really, build a name for myself. So, I think that's where I'm at now. But like I said, at a certain point, you never say never to anything.
That's for sure. 28 years young, crazy brother, crazy. Elle, anything else? If not, we're gonna let Jonathan run.
Real quick, I feel like fighters always have to answer like the same 10 to 15 questions. So we've kind of been trying to ask people some more interesting stuff. Is there any like hobbies outside of fighting that you have? Anything else you enjoy doing?
I really like to golf, which I haven't got to do much of this summer, but I like to golf. That's a good one for me. A hobby where I'm able to, go on the course with some buddies and play some golf, drink some beers. It's been a busy year with fights, so I haven't got to get out too much, but golf when I'm able to. So
if you get this UFC contract in a few weeks, that's going to be the move, is celebrate with a few rounds of golf.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Come home and play a little golf, chill. But you never know. Maybe I go win this and they want to turn me around quick. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
This looks good, Jonathan.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not great at golf. I'm not like a great golf player. I just like playing it.
I know, me too. The pitching wedge, that's all I'm good at. The pitch, everything else, I'm shit. Give me the pitching wedge. I'm all right.
I can hit everything far. It's not always straight.
The aims might be off.
I hear you. Man, Jonathan, appreciate it. Hey, good skill to you. August 23rd, road to the UFC. Knock this guy out. Get the UFC contract. We'll talk soon. All right, brother?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, man. Jonathan Piersma. There you go. Dude, stud. It is cool. It is so wild. Oh.
Chris, I know you know the answer to this question. There's only one correct answer to this question. You always take the UFC opportunity.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
A regional scene fight versus UFC, always the UFC.
Yeah, it's even if you lose, Diego Lopez is like the greatest example ever. Even if you lose, you win. Especially if you fight good.
Especially if it's short notice, because you did them a favor.
Yeah.
Chances are you're going to get taken care of for that next fight. So great question, Chris, but definitely one correct answer.
Dude, Andrew, I keep hearing this. I'm not going to be. You're almost putting me in the corner. I'm picking Bilal to beat Shavkat. I'm like, everyone just thinks Shavkat's going to like hot knife and butter. I don't believe it. I don't know about
that, but still a super tough matchup.
It is. Did he get the COVID back? Larry Downs Jr. Unbelievable. Larry Downs. Hey, you reffing. Keep Dave off the mini putt course at Swing. I'm telling you, not bad. Not bad. No, others have said no. Billy Q said no. He's fought for V3.
That then they're wrong. The only scenario where that makes sense is if you're not ready to go to the UFC. Like you don't have enough experience. Like Gage Young said no to being signed to the UFC when he only had 4 pro fights because he wasn't ready yet. I'm saying if there's an option, it's like, okay, I'm ready for my opportunity and I'm booked for a regional fight and the UFC wants me to take a short notice opportunity, especially in today's day and age when it's more and more competitive to get signed to the UFC, like you take the UFC opportunity.
Shout out Jazzercise. I actually have one over there. We're going to give some away Saturday night. 15%, guys. Go to jazzercise.com. Use the promo code FIGHTBANANA to get 15% your full order. There you go. Shout out to Jazzercise. Dude, I've been using it a little bit more lately. It's wild. You use it and 30 minutes later, you feel it back here. It's like exercise. It's tough. All right. Another comment. I really wanted to get into 305, but I know
I'm down.
Elle for president.
Elle for president.
I know. I got to. I literally mailed something out to Maddie. Chris is next. I got to.
Dave is the world's slowest mailer.
Because
there's snail mail and then there's Dave mail.
Some of us are traveling the world, Elle Dawson. I've been in 7 different states in the last 2 months.
He's a busy man. He's a busy man.
All right. UFC 305. So we're kind of iffy on Izzy and DDP. Tomorrow night, by the way, Betting Bananas, 9 p.m. Myself, Rafael Esparza, and John Rafford's going to join the show. So Wednesday, 9 p.m., we'll get our betting odds and takes on that. But let's go to the co-main event. I feel like it's getting overlooked. Steve Usyk main event against Pantoja in Brazil 4 or 5 months ago. He's fighting Kai Kara-France. Elle, what's your take on Kai Kara-France and Steve Usyk? Is this the next flyweight, potential fight for Pantoja?
Yeah, no, for sure. This Pantoja's fought everybody. He's beat almost everybody in there. Kai Kara-France is a fight that I think a lot of us want to see against Pantoja,
Yeah.
And he was kind of already in that spot, and then he got injured before the Cobb fight. I feel like he kind of got forgotten about for a little bit, and so I think this is his moment to get that title shot, especially with where we're at. The options for title fights are just slim pickings for Pantoja because he's already beat almost everybody in the entire division. He Pantoja did beat Kai Kara-France on the Ultimate Fighter, so it's not like that fight hasn't happened. But that fight hasn't happened since 2016. He had beaten Brandon Moreno twice more recently than he's beaten Kai Kara-France, and we were all down to watch that, So I'd like to see it again.
No, I concur. Totally concur. Our main man, Andrew's a great comment. Usually awesome on Saturday night for the fight alongs. What's your favorite y'all fight on the card besides the Izzy fight? To me, it's not even a question. I can't wait for this fight. This fight to me should be the co-main event. Gamrot versus Dan Hangman Hooker. I love this fight. I have no idea what's going to happen. I can see a war. I can see a total domination by both men. I can see both men winning a couple of different ways. I love Gamrot versus Hooker. Love.
Great matchup. I could see a close fight.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah. And I could see total domination by Gamrot. I don't know if I can see total domination by Hooker in this fight. No, I think Gamrot's style, he has one of the best shots in the UFC. I'm not saying he has the best overall wrestling or the best overall control, but if you just break down his shots, they're so freaking fast. And I've watched him hit him on high level wrestlers that are 2 weight classes above him, he has one of the fastest shots in the UFC. And so it's I think this is just the wrestling of Gamrot and the grappling puts him in a really great spot. Hooker's always dangerous though. Always dangerous. I think Gamrot's a really hard guy to hit super clean sometimes because he moves a lot. But I think it has potential to be a really, really fun fight. But I think if Gamrot gets on top of Hooker, he's just better there, you know?
I see each guy having like potential of like 10-8 rounds. Like I see if, like you said, Gamrot gets on top, does a ton of ground and pound, bloodies him up. And then, of course, what Hooker does sometimes, he gets beat up so bad in the first or second round. And then a third round, like Gamrot does the shot, doesn't get him down. And now Hooker's just on top, on like standing up, and Hooker can have a huge 10-8 round. It could be one of those fun, like, oh my God, Rock'em Sock'em Robot type of fights. It really could.
I can see that.
I like, it's weird. I think that's the fight of the night. Like that. The main event to me is more a strategic, really high level fight.
For
I'm
Izzy.
predicting, huh?
For Izzy.
Yeah, but even
I don't think of DDP has proven time and time again to me that he is a good mixed martial artist, but I definitely don't think of him as a like technician here at all. You know?
Yeah, I what I'm saying, don't you? I think DDP could WrestleMania Izzy the Saturday night. He could, and of course that's what I mean. It would be a big win, and for MMA fans, be like, wow, like it would be a great. If DDP does what Bilal did to Leon Edwards, what we just saw last month, like that's a great win for DDP. And like guys, sooner or later, like even me, I'm in a weird way a non-believer in Drakus, but like if he keeps on winning these fights, he'll be Robert Whittaker, Strickland, and Izzy 3 in a row. It's one of the best runs in middleweight history.
Yeah.
So
no,
who's this guy commenting down here? Grit and will has become its own fight style, and it works. I love it. Grant Dawson. That's
a good way to describe DDP right there.
It is. And talking about best in the biz, we are so pumped to have him. We are lucky enough to have him under our banner. He does so much for so many. One of the absolute studs in MMA media, and there's something I want to talk to him right off the rip about MMA media. Let's get him on the show. Talk to our guy, James Lynch.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me, and what an intro. I appreciate it.
Not bad. We're decent at it. Right off the rip, Ariel Helwani's off MMA fighting. Are you joining? Are you going to lead that show every Monday and Wednesday, 1 o'clock? What are you doing, James? Are you doing?
No, I'm good. I'm good working for Fight Bananas. Happy to be part of the team. I don't think I'll ever. I've talked about this before. Like I don't think I'll ever work for one company. I like doing my own thing, being a nomad and calling the shots and making my own schedule and stuff. If I was offered it, obviously I'd consider it. But I was pretty surprised by this news, but I also understand it. One of the things I did a quick video on this morning, and just to summarize for those who want to get sort of the Cole's notes of it, I think the industry's changing a lot, and I think from Ariel's perspective as well, I think he recognizes that. I think the typical media style of doing the MMA hour and all that has really changed. That's why you don't see a lot of MMA guests on the MMA hour anymore. I think there's a lot of interest in other sports. And I think for Ariel, I think him doing a month for CBC Sports here in Canada, covering the Olympics, I think he realizes there's other opportunities out there. And I think the fans have gotten a lot worse too. And he's probably like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll go do something else, you know? So I think it's a combination of things, but I wish Ariel the best. He's the best in the business.
It's funny. I would love to kind of, usually you're the guest. I should ask your take first, but I'm going to give you kind of like my take first.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it off air about what we think Ariel's going to do next. And then I would ask you what you think. I think he's going to do his own thing. When you get as big as Ariel Helwani has got, what Colin Cowherd has done, or Pat McAfee, you kind of get your own podcast and network. You get your own show. I think Ariel is going to go, like you said, in a weird way, nomad. It's going to be the Ariel Helwani show, his own YouTube, his own podcast. That's what I foresee Ariel. And then he can be at Jake Paul. He can be at WrestleMania. He can do whatever he wants. But then I think Ariel's going to do his own thing.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. Pat McAfee has sort of the model there where, you know, you get sponsors, you can basically make a living off that, and then you can call your own shots. And there's something, like, I can just tell you as someone who does this myself, like there's something very freeing about making your own schedule. Like that's the best part of this gig for sure, is that like my days can look different. I can structure my days, you know, differently than others. You're not tied to one particular thing. And I think he had a very good time in MMA fighting. I think it was a good, place for him to land after leaving ESPN. And I understand him like going back and sort of doing the freelance thing, but there's something about being totally independent where he can really do whatever he wants. And because I guarantee you there were times when he would do things that there were conflicts. And I feel like with him doing this, he won't have that at all. He can kind of be like, well, whatever, I'm calling the shots here.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. James is the man. Great addition to the Fight Bananas family. Grant Dawson.
Thank you, Grant. Checks in the mail.
Ariel and James are two Canadian icons. You got to love that, Dawson. Chris, Ariel said his next move is a dream that's coming to fruition. There you go. Maybe working for himself, or maybe I feel a little WWE thing. I do.
I was just going to say pro wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. Loves it.
That's the
James tells it like it is. 100%. Been watching for a while, and both of y'all keep the good stuff coming. Great, folks. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Jeez, I'm going to blush here. But it's actually because it's hot in my office. That's not why I'm blushing. But yeah.
Me too. The AC kind of broke out here, and I live in Florida.
Well, you guys especially, like, you guys have a totally different heat. It gets pretty hot here in the summer in Vancouver, but not like what you guys have, I think, year round. It's probably really crazy this time of year. Air conditioning must be very expensive out there because everyone needs one.
I don't think there's been an under 100-degree day.
Oh, man.
It doesn't near me in a while.
Doesn't happen.
Elle,
you have the next one.
Oh, I was going to say, it rains for short periods, which cools it down for like an hour, but then the sun comes right back.
Yeah.
Very true.
But I don't know what I did when my air conditioning broke.
Back in the day, James, I feel like a couple years ago, we used to do these great UFC pay-per-view previews. We got a huge pay-per-view coming up, Perth. I love the main event. The main event is awesome. Some main events just kind of connect with me more. To me, it's the hottest middleweight we've seen in a long time with Drekas. He's winning and winning and winning. We got Izzy, who you can argue if he wins this fight, could go down as the greatest UFC middleweight of all time. You can argue that. Let's go right at the rip. What do you think about this main event? Is it as big as I think it is? I feel it's a really big main event.
I do, but I will say, and maybe we got to see how things go the next couple of days. I feel like it's not as big as we thought it was going to be. Maybe it's because of the timing. Like, if you remember, if this had actually happened after the whole Dricus beating Robert Whittaker, I think it could have been a lot bigger. Remember, it was, like really like that. I'll never forget that post-fight interview because I was at that card. I was covering it in Vegas when DDP upset Robert Whittaker, and you could just feel the energy being like, oh man, this is going to be a massive fight. And then obviously Strickland takes the fight, and then we had Strickland and obviously DDP in Toronto. I was at that fight too. So I feel like it's not as big maybe now because I will say this too, and I've mentioned this many times on my show, like they do so many events that I think we're still kind of fatigued from like Umar and Corey a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that plays a role in it not being as big, but on paper, yes, one of the best middleweight fights of all time. I'm really intrigued to see how Izzy bounces back here. One of the things I talked about in my breakdown was the pressure factor from Izzy, because if he loses this fight, not only will it be very hard for him to get back to title contention, but there's also a school of thought. Alex Pereira isn't booked. Is there a thought if Izzy wins this, does he move up and fight for that 205-pound belt? Because I thought it was interesting that Ankalaev, is against Rakic when Ankalaev seemed like the very clear-cut contender. Now, that could also mean that Pereira is moving up to heavyweight to fight Aspinall. There's so many different possibilities after this. But with Duplessis, like if he loses this, it's not the end of the world. He's 30 years old. Like it's not a deep division. Like a win or two, he could be right back in contention. So I think from a pressure standpoint, and considering that Izzy has been out for a while now, he sort of had a semi-retirement. There's a lot on his plate here. So I'm curious to see how he looks. I'll get to it now because I'm sure you're going to ask me. I like DDP here. I think that he's been more active. I think, you can't use MMA math in every scenario, but the fact that he did have a win over Strickland, I know people thought it was close. I did have DDP winning that. I think if he can get Izzy on his back foot, like Strickland was able to, I think he can have a lot of success. And I think there's a school of thought as well, because, a lot of people talk about, Izzy being the favorite in this fight, and I understand that he's fought better opposition and, obviously great striking, but I do wonder, like, is age catching up to him? Remember, he had the kickboxing career. He took some damage against Pereira. He got finished in that fight. Like, DDP, yes, he's been in some wars himself, but I do wonder, like, the activity level of DDP being a little bit more in there, and then also just his pressure could be interesting. The other thing, guys, that we got to mention, sorry, not guys, girls too, Elle, with you being here, but the surgery he got, like that Robert Whittaker fight, I was blown away. Like I did not think Whittaker was going to lose that fight. He's a tough middleweight to finish. Whittaker prior to that loss had only been finished one time at 185, and he's been in there with guys like Yoel Romero and Jared Cannonier and guys that have knockout power. So I didn't think DDP of all people would be able to finish him. I think the fact that he got that surgery, the cardio's on point. We saw him go 5 rounds with Strickland. I think DDP will win a close decision in this one. I think it's close. Like I really don't know, but I don't think, like people talking about Izzy just had an off night. I don't know, man. Like he's getting up there in age. He's 36 now. Like I think there is a case for a bit of a decline with him too.
When it happens quick too. We've all seen it. Like Kamaru Usman is a guy like that. When it happens, it happens. There's just but Tyron Woodley, it happens. You see it, and it's just kind of done. Colby, so on and so on. Let's get a couple of these. James is the best, big inspiration.
Love hearing that.
People just James. You just
I got a fan club here today. That's great.
Izzy, TKO round 3, dude. Aaron AJ Chambers, I don't know if he's on your radar yet, James. Yep. I was out there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Absolute monster. AJ Chambers, absolute monster. I love that guy. This is one from Chris. He goes, James, do you have a take on the UFC antitrust lawsuit settlement being denied by Judge Bauer?
I would refer to Eric McGracken, fellow Canadian, actually fellow BC resident like myself. Eric lives pretty close to me. I actually saw Eric at an event a couple months ago. He's the guy to talk to about this stuff. I didn't go to law school. Obviously, I don't know much about the case. Any talking points I get from him, I don't know if this is like good or like, I guess just my understanding is, and this is my totally non-legal version of this, is that I guess the judge didn't like what the decision was. So now they're looking into it more. So I don't know how this is all going to play out. But guys, Eric McGracken, I'm telling you, follow him on Twitter. He is on top of this like nobody else, and he's actually a lawyer, so he knows sort of the legal jargon of all this. He would be the guy I'd refer to.
I definitely am interested to hear what an attorney has to say about it, because like, to me, this is kind of an odd conversation. Like, if we're gonna dog on the UFC for locking fighters into contracts, like, I know they're not a US company, but like, we're not going to talk about one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's not a UFC exclusive issue. You know?
Well, I think the issue too was that I think back when this period that they're referring to, I think the UFC, I guess their argument is that the UFC was basically like a monopoly and fighters didn't have options of going elsewhere. So I think if you look back then, there weren't like, yes, there was one. I think there might have been like, I don't know if Strikeforce would have been back then, but like, I guess just the options were very limited, because if you think about it, right, the UFC buys Pride, they buy Strikeforce, like you're really kind of taking away the opportunities in the competition and all that. And so I think there's that's part of it as well. But I don't know how this is all going to shake out. All I know is anything that I've ever learned in my life, people with a lot of money tend to be favorable in these types of situations. So I think the UFC is going to end up fine at the end of this thing. It would be my guess.
I would assume so as well.
My next thing, and then Elle, if you want to be right on deck on something else, is to me, I talked about it probably a couple weeks ago, and it's so wild that, of course, it was rumored that Ilya and Max was going to be 307 in Salt Lake City, and Islam would be the 308 guy. Islam injured, looks like won't be fighting this year in 2024. Max and Ilya took 308. That means 307 is wide open. I heard a really bad rumor that our main event could be Rocky Pennington, literally headline in Salt Lake City over there. Tell me it's something else, James. What do you got for us? What could headline 307?
No, it's going to be that fight, I think. I think what they're going to do, the reason I think that is because they're going to, like, I almost feel like they're going to treat this like a Canada card. I've seen enough Canada cards where they do this all the time, where they'll take they'll probably do 2 title fights if I had to guess. They'll probably do, if I had to take a stab here, I have no insight into this, but they'll do Raquel and Pena, and then they'll do maybe like Pantoja. And I've heard Kaya Sakura might be fighting him coming over from Risen. That would be a fight that they could sell. They always do the 2 title fights with women fights. You notice that a lot. Like, remember years ago they had I think it was Amanda Nunes and Valentina was supposed to headline the Vegas card in International Fight Week, and I think Romero and Whitaker was the co-main event of that card. So I think that's what they're going to end up doing. They're kind of treating this like a Canada card where you basically get the title fight that's not in a major market. I could see them going that route. And you got to remember, Raquel trains in Colorado, Utah, Colorado, very close. So I could see them using that as an argument as well. But yeah, I know, like, listen, one thing people and fans have to realize is that the big fights happen in big markets. John Jones, you don't hear John Jones fighting on 307. You don't hear, like Connor fighting on, or even Ilya Max. I never thought was a realistic thing, because I think Ilya has elevated himself to sort of the superstar. So they're saving the big fights for the big markets. Abu Dhabi or Middle East is now a big market for them too. I think the other markets, unfortunately, will suffer as a result of that.
My kind of biggest argument right off the rip, and the one thing I noticed, the full card is awesome. 307, they go 8 deep. They Jose Aldo's on the card, Kayla Harrison's on the card. There's a lot of really Kevin Holland and Chris Curtis, a great fight, of course, is on the card. Even Chimaev and Whitaker is a better, headliner, and I know it's a bad pay-per-view main event, of course, but that's a great fight. That's a big name fight than Pennington Pena. It's just That's tough. That's tough.
But they're saving Chimaev for the Middle East. Like, that's why he's on that card. Like, you notice all the Middle East cards, they have Muslim, Dagestani, Chechenian in the case of Chimaev. They save it for that. And I think because the Middle East is investing so much, that's why, like, Corey and Umar, that card was better than most, even some pay-per-views that we've had. It's because the Middle East, they're investing so much money in the UFC that they want to sort of return the favor. That's why Nick Diaz was on that card. People are like, why would Nick Diaz fight in the Middle East? Well, they just see Diaz as a name and we need to have him on there, which never ended up happening, which I think people could have predicted. It's like Nick Diaz fighting in the Middle East. He's probably like, no way. Like, I want to fight in the U.S.
Right.
Elle?
On the same topic, or just moving on from that.
Oh yeah. I mean, Rocky Pennington main event. Come on, I can't believe I can't take it as someone who covers it, and I just can't take it.
I get what James is saying. There's not really anything else to put there right now, which is unfortunate. But
you know what?
As much as we don't like,
and Bilal's already said no. Bilal and Shavkat could be it.
But again, they'll do that in the Middle East, though. Two Muslim fighters fighting for a title, that's going to be in the Middle East. It has to be. I think there's rumblings they're going to go to the Middle East early next year. That'll be on that card, would be my prediction. And listen, they did this, let's compare this to the Toronto card. Okay, same sort of thing where it was at the beginning of the year. Do you remember that card was originally, it was, they supposed to have Rakic and Blachowicz on that card. And Dominic Reyes was supposed to fight Carlos Ulberg. They didn't replace either of those fights. That to me says, this is our leftovers card. And listen, it was a good card. I'm glad I got to go to Toronto and cover it. It was fun. And Strickland and DDP I thought was a great fight, and as was some of the other fights on there. But that's what they do. They just unless it's like a mega card, they're not going to pull out all the stops to make it, work. And you have to look at how they're putting certain fighters on certain cards. They're not going to ever put a John Jones on a Utah card. They're going to save him from New York because the two biggest markets for the UFC right now are New York, Vegas, and then I'd say the Middle East. That's sort of the top three.
No, that makes sense. I also we haven't seen Khamzat, for example, in the U.S. since it's been 2 years. Was the Kevin?
Oh,
Hall.
that's documented. He can't. Kareem Zidane. If you go read his stuff, he has a whole thing on how Chimaev's not allowed in the U.S. and it makes sense because not even just him fighting, he hasn't actually trained in the U.S. Because remember he did some training at Extreme Couture. Remember him and Strickland got to train together. I don't think he's allowed in there. My understanding is, and again, go read Kareem's stuff. I'm not an expert on this, but he basically said it's because of his ties to that warlord Kadyrov that's preventing him from getting in the U.S. is my understanding.
That's what I thought, but I've heard rumblings about it. It seems pretty well documented. So that's your point right there. I don't think we can put Chimaev over there either. So it's there's just not anything else.
And by the way, there's a number of fighters, sorry to interrupt, there's a number of fighters who don't have that particular situation, but have issues fighting in the U.S. Volkan Ozdemir's one. I did an interview with him before his last fight. He has some issues. I think it's because of something that happened with the law a number of years ago, but he can't fight in the U.S. You remember back in the day, he used to train at what's now Killcliff, but it was Black Zillions back in the day. He used to train over there. He doesn't train there now because he has issues getting in. I know Guram Kutaladze, same thing. He has issues fighting in the U.S. So there's a few fighters that can't get in. So that's why they save those fighters for the international cards, right? So I think Krylov's dealing with the same thing. A lot of people ask me about Krylov and what's going on with him. I think it's a similar thing with him that he can't fight there either. So something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
We just had a young fighter on that was about to fight for the road to the UFC and, 28 years young and of course goals to be in the UFC, and something that I feel like me and you, James, the longer that we keep doing this, I love all the opportunities outside the UFC. It's becoming cliche to say this now, but what the PFL is doing, or Jake Paul, or boxing, or Misfits, Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA, or Course Bare Knuckle, there's just so much opportunity outside the UFC. To me, and it's ascendant. I think it really is ascendant. Do you feel the same way that I do? Do you think it's smart? Maybe even guy like even Mokaev, and I know that could be a little bit of a different avenue, but can you foresee some younger talent being hey, maybe I don't want to be just another welterweight under this bracket. I'm going to do this or do this. And these other ventures will pay them maybe even more money. Mike Perry's became a bigger star and made more money outside the UFC. Do you kind of see this as a trendy thing happening in the future?
Absolutely. Look at Dakota Devitcha. She could have signed with the UFC, I think, back in the day, and she opted to go to PFL. And the thing is, she's the star. Like, if she would have gone to like Contender Series or something, she's competing with other fighters. She'd probably be on a UFC undercard. Like, it's same reason with Usman or Magomedov fighting in Bellator. He could have gone to the UFC, but, you know, obviously Islam's there. He might have, you know, they probably would have pushed him knowing that they do so many cards in the Middle East. But if you go to other organizations, you're the star. You're the focus. Dakota, obviously, they've really built her up, you know, with the PFL. And I think that that's the way to go with certain fighters. I'll give you a name that I don't know if either of you know about. Tony Laramie just got signed to Risen. That is a huge miss by the UFC, in my opinion. Everyone that I've talked to and fights that I've watched of his for years, Tony is the younger brother of TJ Laramie, used to be in the UFC. He is one of the best flyweights out there. I have no idea why the UFC didn't sign him. He's got a mullet. He's like exciting to watch. He's been fighting forever. Like, him and TJ have been sort of known as two top prospects in Canada. I don't know why the UFC didn't sign him, but I think he'll have more success in Risen because what he can do is what a lot of fighters do, like even like a Michael Chandler or Eddie Alvarez, where you build up that brand for yourself in another organization, and then the UFC wants you, and then you're going to get the more money. Like, remember Hector Lombard, remember Eddie Alvarez, like all these fighters that built up their name in other organizations, then the UFC's asking you to come, as opposed to signing with the UFC, and maybe it doesn't work out and you get buried in an undercard and it's not the same. So it's certainly, you're 100% right. Like, there's definitely more opportunities now for fighters than there was maybe a decade ago.
And I don't know what it is. I feel like sometimes that the UFC is allergic to flyweights that have finishes. Like, they don't want Laramie, they don't want Kyoji for some reason. Something like two incredibly
Jose Shorty Torres, they did that. I mean, that was something I talked about in my Mokaev video, where people are like, oh, they just, you know, they don't like Mokaev because of this and that. I said, well, the UFC has a history of this. Jared Brooks, they released off a win in the UFC. He had a fight prior to that against Davis and Figueroa that a lot of people thought he won. And he's a great interview. So why didn't you keep him? It's like they have a history for whatever reason of not really treating the flyweights very well. I don't understand it.
And I think the Mokaev situation is probably has to do with more business interactions than fight performances. Like, yeah,
it's a combination. My understanding is, and because I did that interview with Steve Erstag, and out of nowhere he just brings up that, hey, Mokaev was difficult with the UFC staff. So there's that. There's, you know, maybe his fighting style is not the best. Like, I don't know. So I think it was just the perfect storm of the division the UFC doesn't treat very well. They don't like his style, and then there's like I said, I heard even before this Erstag stuff, like I heard from people like close to the UFC that there was some issues with him behind the scenes. So you add all those things in. If you're not making money for the UFC, we've seen the UFC put up with a lot of BS with Conor, John Jones, like you name it. There's certain fighters that have, even Greg Hardy, like you think of the leash that they've had with certain fighters. They're willing to go the extra. They pulled Jeremy Stevens out of jail years ago. You remember this, to go fight on a card. Like they're willing to go to great lengths to have certain fighters compete for them. But if it doesn't make them money, if it's not a business move, then they see you as expendable. And we've seen them do it time and time again with certain fighters where they're just like, go, we don't need you.
Yeah. And it's true, like if you're not a superstar, you are expendable. Andrew is right here. Like, there was a point where they were thinking about getting rid of it. And I think I think Jose Shorty Torres was a victim of that time.
Oh, yeah.
I think if he had been popular in any other time period that wasn't when the UFC was like, oh, we're going to cut that division anyway, I think he would have gotten a better opportunity. I know he didn't have a great showing in his one UFC fight, but a lot, like Brandon Moreno got cut and re-signed like 3 times. I'm exaggerating a little, but you know, so it's, but you know, like he was there at the right time when they needed somebody for that division. So I think Torres kind of got just screwed by the times.
Yep. Well said.
Couple last things, James, and we'll let you run. We know you even have another interview for us live on Fight Bananas, 4 p.m. Eastern, so a couple hours away. 2 kind of last things and fun things.
Yeah, whatever you need. I got time, guys. Like we don't like whatever you need, I will give it to you. You know, it's all good.
You're the man, James. Absolutely, man. Dana White said, hey, this UFC Sphere is going to be the greatest show ever. And I felt like he did this with UFC 300, and then everyone was disappointed with it. And then it over-delivered. The fights over-delivered. Still probably the best card to date, the Max Holloway moment, Alex, and everything else. He did this with the Sphere, and same thing. I don't know if you're the same way, Jay. I've been hearing everyone's like, that's it. That's the fight card. This is what I got. Just they didn't feel overwhelmed about this fight card. Is it just Dana doing all these all these podcasts and talking about, I'm going to blow everyone away? Why do you think people are down on it? Are you down on the card? Do you think it can over deliver? What's your thoughts on the UFC Sphere?
I hate to be boring to your audience, but 100% I agree with your assessment. I did a video on this right when the card was announced. I go, this is it? Like, it's a good card. It's just one of those things where, like, you're right, Dana over-delivered. But the problem is that the way the UFC does their schedule, it's almost impossible for them to do a type of, like, wow factor card. Like, yes, 300 worked out with the fights they had, but I'd even say 300, as great as that card ended up being, like, we kind of got lucky with Gaethje and Holloway being what it was. Like, it was still going to be a good fight, but, like, the way Dana made it out, it's like this is a card that you've never seen before. Well, I think we have. Like, I think everyone knew that Jamal Hill and Pereira was going to be the next fight. I think, yes, Gaethje and Holloway was something that was unique, but I also I edited a video of this after 300 where you got Yuri Prohaska, who's basically screwed now. Yuri was 303. That was the other one I was thinking about. But you basically have, like, Gaethje screwed now. Gaethje had a title shot against Islam, and now that's gone because he had to fight Max Holloway because the UFC needed to make a fun fight. Like, I think there's things that people don't look at with that where, you know, it's kind of the downside of it. I'd say with the Sphere, like, we knew O'Malley Merab was going to happen. I think they're missing, like, a good fight or two. Like, Ode Osborne, I love the guy, but, like, he's on the pay-per-view. He's coming off a couple losses. Like, that doesn't feel like a big card to me. I think that the UFC is more so selling the novelty of being at the Sphere than they are about the actual fight itself. And I think fans, like, there's obviously people out there who said, oh, there's just people who complain about the UFC no matter what. It's like, no, Dana set the bar here, and we just didn't get that, and that's why people are critical of it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think it's an average pay-per-view that happens to be at this really cool venue.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
For being Noche, like, there's no way you can't. I know it's even Brandon Moreno was kind of saying I didn't want to fight till later the year, but, like, Moreno, Cejudo, Yair Rodriguez, these are guys that need to be on that card. You just need to be. And I feel like even if you have those three guys, it fills it out. I feel like it fills it out. It makes the main card very elite, high elite. Even if you just match up Cejudo and Brandon Moreno, which has kind of been rumored about a little bit, then you add Yair versus a top, featherweight. I feel like that card is boosted a lot more. It's just wild. I feel like you can't, in 2024, especially with Dana and how polarizing he is, you can't over deliver. You just can't. You can't say this is gonna be the greatest card of all time. This is gonna be a love letter to the sport, and then give us Ode Osborne on a main card. You can't do it. Yeah.
They just do too many events. And then on top of that, like, Dana does this thing, like we have a big topic of discussion right now is how Dana keeps talking about John Jones being the best. The reason I think he keeps harping on that is because he's trying to sell to the casual. Like, we all know that John Jones and Stipe is kind of like not really the heavyweight title fight. Like, it's a fight that's fun. Like, if there's no belt, no one would complain. They just call Tom Aspinall the real champ. Aspinall keeps fighting the contenders, whatever. But Dana keeps, I think, saying this about John Jones and, like, every opportunity saying he's the pound for pound best because he's trying to sell the casual fan on Jones has still got it. Jones is still the best. Like, all this different stuff. I kind of see it the same way with these cards where it's like he knows people are going to buy tickets. Like, have you seen the tickets for the Sphere? Like, they're ridiculous. Like, you have to take out a second mortgage to get, like, even like lower bowl seats to this card, right? Like, it's crazy how much they're asking. But the UFC's model since ESPN came in is we're basically a sausage factory. We're going to do events every weekend and people are going to watch it regardless. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, last week's card wasn't a great card. I PVR'd it. I watched it at my own leisure. I didn't, spend my whole day around watching it because that's what I do now. I just don't have time. Like, I got 2 kids. I can't just revolve my own schedule around that. But, like, that's what they're used to now. And then I think Dana does this extra thing where, like, he tries to do this PR thing that, like, hardcore people like us know that that's not really the case. But the casual fan will be like, oh yeah, I think that's a good card.
Yeah, I agree. The last thing for you, it's probably the biggest thing on the radar where probably people like you and I are looking into, not just a future fight. Kind of the next big thing is where the UFC is going to be with their media rights. What's next? What's their next? Where are their shows going to be Saturday, maybe midweek? There's a big rumor about a Monday night. I don't know if you heard that yet, James. Yeah. Where do you think the UFC is going to be in 8 months from now, kind of when they sign that new deal?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I will say that, like, with the NBA having their deal and getting how much they did, and obviously NBA is a much bigger property than the UFC is, but I do wonder if they're looking at that and seeing some of the money that, like, Amazon's throwing around or like Netflix or, like, I don't really know. Like, I think everything's on the table right now as far as where the UFC could go next and what they decide to do with their TV rights. And I know the UFC is always looking to move ahead. Like, I mean, ESPN is still the biggest TV outlet, but is it the biggest streaming service? I don't know. I think Amazon, like, you just see, like, now where everything's changing, like, as far as, like, streaming rights and all that. And I would say nothing would really surprise me. I just know that wherever the UFC is going to go, I think a lot of these companies want content, and the UFC can deliver that content on a weekly basis. Like there's no off season, right? So I think there'll be a lot of suitors, and I think the UFC is going to get a very good deal out of it, regardless of who it's with. My
2 cents. We're going to add someone to the screen, and then James, you can say hi, and then we'll let you run, my man. Like I said,
no
always
problem.
appreciate you. My
Anytime.
thing is, I think the UFC is going to be on multiple, like how the NFL is. The NFL is on Fox. The NFL is on CBS. The NFL is on Amazon Prime on Thursdays. I think the UFC is so strong and such a big entity. I think Netflix has such a big, massive library of people, and I think the UFC knows that. And I think that's how you can get the fighters and the UFC even more mainstream. You get them in front of 200 million people on a Saturday night for free on maybe their fight nights. And then you keep their pay-per-views on ESPN Plus for $80. So now you everyone is happy. I think that's how they're going to go. But here we go. I'm going to add the UFC record holder. She is our Savage. She's your Savage. Let's add Gillian the Savage Robertson to the show.
What's up?
What's up, G?
How's it going?
What's up, Gillian?
Going good.
Good.
Dude, you look incredible, G. How are you?
I'm doing good, I guess slowly getting back into camp, like baby stepping back in. So it's like next week I would say would be the official first week of camp. So this week we're still like eating sweets and stuff, but dialing the diet back a lot, definitely this week. But just kind of baby stepping into camp, I'm always excited when I got fight news coming up.
I got a quick one for Gillian before I get out of here. Are you disappointed? It sounds like the UFC is going to Edmonton in, I think, November. I think that would be a bit too far, but would you have wanted to be on that card? Because I know you like fighting in Canada.
So that was actually the initial card that I was put on.
Oh, interesting. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, the Edmonton card is actually the week before the card I'm on now. But
oh, interesting. Okay.
My opponent, for some reason, I'm assuming visa issues, something like that, can't fight in Canada. She can't fight outside the States. So
something we talked about earlier. There you go.
Yeah. So that's why my fight got pushed back the week. So that's why we can't be in Edmonton. But I was super excited to be there. It had been my second time fighting in Edmonton, and I'm definitely bummed that I'm not going to be there. One, I'm not going to have a real crowd. I'm going to be in the Apex. Two, I'm like, I could have been in front of a Canadian crowd, which is just absolutely fire to me.
Yeah, for sure. And also, one thing I'll mention about that card, do not be surprised if Unified, who does like the regional promotions, if they put a card on the night before. They did it with UFC 297 in Toronto. So keep an eye out for that, because they always put like some of their top prospects on a card the night before and kind of do double dipping, which I think is a good move because they're on Fight Pass, right? So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Night before. And Jay, last thing I will let you run. Yep. Are you hearing UFC? I've been saying it for 4 months. I feel like I've been lying to the people. UFC's heading to Tampa. That's happening, right?
I haven't heard anything about Tampa specifically. I'll check in on that, though. I know a few people that might know the answer to that. So
October,
I'll see
November is in Tampa.
That would be great.
I've heard December somewhere in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Just around.
There we go.
I don't know specifics, but I've just heard that around. Is just December there might be something in Florida.
There we go. Fight Bananas party in Tampa, Florida. Lynch on Sports. James Lynch, one of the best in the absolute business. Hey, we'll watch you live in 2 hours doing your thing, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, everyone. Have a good rest of your show. And have me on anytime. It's always good talking to all of you. It's great to get to chat.
Later, James.
Take care.
Thanks, James.
Lynch on Sports. He's the man. Love James. All right. Gee, it's a pay-per-view week. Huge stacked week. I'm excited. So let's just start right off the rip. We're kind of been going back and forth about this Izzy and DDP. We haven't had a really solidified spot. Where are you at it? Where are you at on it? Do you feel confident one way or the other?
I feel like it's hard to feel confident in a DDP fight.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah,
that's totally fair.
Yep, you're with us. Thanks.
I feel like it's like Yuri Prochazka. I'm like, both of them just have such a weird fighting style that works for them, and it's like I don't know. Looking at it from a technical standpoint, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like, I don't know. It doesn't look good, but it works. So you can't say that it's not good. So I'm like, it's so hard to pick his fights, I feel like.
I 100% agree with that. It's just so awkward.
And which it probably makes it harder to deal with too. Just like a different look coming at people, and they don't know. It's almost like with Bobby Green, how he fights with his hands down solo. It either can help him or can hurt him, but a lot of times like people don't see the punches coming out from that angle. It's just an awkward angle. It's just, I feel like when you see something that's awkward, that's different, you don't know how to handle it.
And it's hard to find a training partner that can emulate it too. So it's like, you can try your best to fight like Bobby Green, but it's something he's developed himself. So you're probably not going to be quite right,
Well, it's like there's a reason nobody fights like that because it just works for him,
Perfect.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Also on the card, co-main event and the featured fight are two fights that we have talked a lot about. It feels like even the comment section, people love both fights. Kai Kara France and Usyk in the flyweight co-main event. And then you got Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. I think Elle and I is kind of like our favorite fight on the card. Do you like both fights? Where are you at on both of those fights?
Any fight that Gamrot's in is my favorite fight on the card.
There you go, G.
I absolutely love, he just has such a creative wrestling style. Like, he'll be 2 feet off the ground, crouched down and still shoot. And it's just amazing how he can get his shots off. It's so impressive. So, huge Gamrot fan, definitely going for him in that one.
Guys, if I could have had just a camcorder attached to my hand when I was in the warm-up room at Grant's last fight week, because Gamrot was there with Dustin Poirier, and it's like he's on cocaine 24/7. The most infectious, just attitude and energy. He's just running around yelling. I think he and Sabah sparred 22 rounds in a row just in the warm-up room on a Tuesday. He's insane, but in all the best ways. All the best ways. I love him.
I love it. I tell, I think, some inside scoop stories. I've never told a story about cocaine on this show, so I feel good. Elle's the one that's
not literally. I ain't getting anybody in trouble today.
Really tell the dirt. It's so funny, dude. So this past weekend, G, you would have loved it. We were at Island Fights 84. Insane show. First pro show in 4 years. It was packed, but beyond belief. We're going to have Devin Adams coming on in 15 minutes. Insane. One thing I think you're going to like, on October 25th, they just announced their next card. The Friday before Halloween, the tea leaves, the rumors on the street said it's going to be headlined by a female fight. So females are going to headline Island Fights 85, maybe.
Ooh.
So you never know. Could be fun. Could be fun. I know it's going to be
Interesting.
really, really too close to your fight. So I know there won't be no savage sight in Island Fights, but, yeah, it's always cool. Dude, that gym, Team Remedy, had a great outing this past the gym that you had. Dude, ever since you went there and showed them some holds, they win fights now, G. I don't know if it's one leads to another. I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't know. They had a great team up there. I went up there to do seminars 2 times now, 3 times, I think, maybe.
Oh,
I think 2 or 3 times, and but it's been a great group, great vibes every time, and yeah, like you said, they're winning. You see them winning, so they're doing good.
Doing good.
Some really incredible young talent out of that gym,
yeah,
fighters
so
that
good.
don't look like amateurs anymore, that are definitely ready to be on that pro scene.
Whoa! There you go. One of the head hosses there, Trey Alidor. Geez, the best we need to have her back in. There you go. Hey, just throw her some pink M&Ms, some 2 bags of green stuff in it, and G will will be right there. She'll just come running, come jogging.
The 2 bags of green stuff I'm definitely down for.
That's how she charges for her seminars, guys.
It is.
She's like, yeah. When are you have you competed on high rollers before, G?
I have probably a couple years ago at this point. I've done it a couple times. I competed against Cynthia Calveo. I competed against Jessica I out there. Yeah, so a couple big names I was able to compete with out there, which I think it's always cool to meet those girls on the grappling scene,
Yeah. That's neat. Did you enjoy the overall experience? Was it pretty cool?
Yeah, I think obviously it's jiu-jitsu weed, you can't really go wrong.
I love how on the stream, if you watch it, there's just smoke billowing onto the mats.
Literally the whole building is just filled, absolutely filled with smoke.
I hear you don't even have to smoke yourself. You can just be secondhand. You can just walk through and be all right in life.
Well, I wouldn't know that, but
kids, go to school. School has started for us here in Florida, so make sure you go to school. All right, Man. All right,
Too
G, another
trusted.
fun one. We just talked to James about, and I can't wrap my head around it. I am going insane about it. I might have to stay firm. Us at Fight Bananas, we do these watch-alongs at pay-per-views. They do so good. We have so many people watch and comment along. They've been phenomenal. We might have to take a stand at UFC 307. The main event for UFC 307 could be Rocky Pennington versus Juliana Pena. We might have to take a stand at Fight Bananas and say we are not ordering this show. Is this too harsh?
It's so dramatic.
That's a horrific main event.
I mean, you're right, but I'm still gonna order it.
There you go. Look at that.
We always will. Let's
I
be
mean,
real.
literally, that's what I thought about this. All these fight nights have not been great lately. And this fight night last weekend, I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, all these fights are going to be terrible, but I'm going to spend 6 hours of my day watching it regardless.
and we did. And we all did.
We did.
It was bad. Like the Chepe fight was good. I was happy Chepe got a win.
Chepe really impressed me,
fight.
honestly. I thought I thought it would be more of a fight, I guess. It was very one-sided from Chepe. He just looks very dominant on the ground. Really impressed me, honestly.
I keep seeing
There's like
people
3 or 4 female fights on the card, right? On that?
Yeah, I think
There is 3, yeah.
3? Was there a female on the card that impressed you at all, or you have your eye on?
Not necessarily.
Okay. At least you're honest. That's all we love, G.
Yeah, I don't think none of the fights like really Chepe's fight was the only one that stood out on the whole card to me. And honestly, the heavyweight armbar from the back is pretty sick. You just don't see that
a whole lot.
You don't see. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that is 1999 like armbar material right there. Insane.
I hear a lot of people are calling for Chepe to fight Nate Landwehr next, which I think is super fun.
Oh my god! Any fight that like Nate Landwehr, Darren Elkins, Trevor Peake. I'm like, they're the type of guys that are just there to fight, and I love them for that. All their fights are always entertaining, regardless.
I think that'd be a super fun matchup. I'd love to see that next.
Oh yeah.
So tonight starts Dana White Contender Series. Have you been at a Dana White Contender Series, G?
The only time I've been at a Dana White Contender Series was when I was in the Tough House. It was actually the Contender Series that Sean O'Malley was on.
Okay.
So we were in the Tough House, and they took over the UFC gym every Tuesday. So we were kicked out. So they allowed us to be guests, I think like 2 or 3 weeks to come in. So it was like the very beginning of the Contender Series.
You weren't there for Grant's fight, were you? Because he was on season 1 too, but I think he might have been either earlier or later.
I'm not sure. We only went to like 2 or 3 of them. And that was when we got to meet and smoke with Snoop Dogg too. Because he had the podcast with the Contender Series back then.
He commentated Grant's fight with Uriah Faber. It's like watching that commentary is hilarious.
Exactly. I'm like, they had something great going. Snoop talking about anything, like them bringing him into the Olympics was just absolute gold. Like it just makes it so much better.
All the side quests. That man is just completing every single side quest in life at this point.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know, girls, if you know this, like in football, like on a big football game, like you can just watch the normal football game, or it's like, it's so big now, they have like these side, like watch alongs with like different people will do commentary watching the football. We need that for like UFC. Like we need like, so it's a big fight, and then it'll be Snoop Dogg and Bradley Cooper, or Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman can just do like,
I would so pay money to see that.
That's what I'm saying. It would be amazing, wouldn't it? Just like them jacking around, and like it would be better if they knew less about like, you know, hey, they're in the clinch. They'd just be like, they're hugging you. Like, I just think it would be awesome if they were just that.
Snoop Dogg's Planet Earth is amazing, not because Snoop Dogg knows anything about animals.
So like Snoop Dogg just talking about anything, period, just makes it funny. So it just makes it better.
Gia, probably this might be an off. I should have asked you this off air, probably, or gave you thing. Are you a movie person? Did you see the Deadpool and Wolverine movie?
I am a movie person, but I hate going to the movies. So that's the issue why I haven't seen that yet. I want to see it, but I'm waiting for it to come out on the TV so then I can stay at home and watch it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I respect that. I respect that. Dude, I know you're so famous, and if you went to the movie theater, you'd be like just thrash. People
yeah, you know. You know how it is.
What's like your go-to show? What's the show or movie that you kind of, if it's at night, is it Netflix? Is it what streaming service you kind of watch? And what's like your go-to show right now?
Right now, I don't know. Well, I bought it because the Olympics was on it, but Peacock's been killing it.
On fire. Peacock's amazing.
Absolutely. Like this week, I guess I've just been really getting into it. I've never really had it until I got it for the Olympics. And then now I'm just like watching movie after movie. I've really been into like a lot of horror stuff lately. I don't know why. Me and my boyfriend are going through the whole 10 Saw movies right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's so many. I didn't realize there were 10. I can't believe they're too icky for me.
Where are you at right now in it?
We're on number 3.
Okay. Like the first one is amazing. First one is like an all-timer. 2 is still good. I think 3 is I don't know. Maybe I never saw Saw 6. I would assume Saw 6 can't be good. Like, right? Am I right on this? Like,
there's no way you can have 10 different plot lines within this.
I'm intrigued.
Right? I've seen the 10th one at least, and I know that one isn't great.
Okay, so there we go.
Is it becoming kind of like the Fast and the Furious, where it's like, okay, we just have to make it a little more ridiculous to one up the last movie? Now we're in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Saw in space.
Saw's cutting off people in space. I love that. By the way, Dave, I asked Chris Barnett to jump to watch along. Oh, that would be fun. Chris Barnett.
That would be super cool.
Dude, he's so funny. Beast Boy Barnett. Peacock has American Ninja Warrior. Saw 2 has to be the best. Yeah, Saw 2 is good.
Saw 2 is I was gonna say Saw 2 is actually the very first horror movie that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
So the second time I watched it was like 2 weeks ago with my boyfriend, and like every moment is just ingrained in my brain from when I was like 9 years old. I just remembered every single thing.
I'm kind of the same. Saw 1 wasn't like the first horror movie I ever saw, but like I think I was in high school and it was like prime. Like you would take a girl to go see like a movie and like seeing that movie. I remember being like just terrified watching Saw 1 and be like, and then the spoiler alert, I'm going to give people the spoiler. The guy was on the floor the whole time. The main villain was like it was the craziest ending ever. I just like Saw 1 is like a masterpiece. So good.
Oh, no.
So, all right. 2 weeks from now, G, after UFC 305 and after a couple UFCs, we'll get your Saw 4 through 10 review. We definitely need that on Fight Banana, so that's a must. I guess we'll let you run. Anything else on 303? Did you see? We talked about Dakota last week, right? Dakota Ditcheva just kneeing girls in the face and walking and shooing people. Like, dude.
No. Like you don't see girls drop from a knee like that. That's it. It was just brutal. It was ruthless.
Chris has a good one for you, G. Chris has a good one. He goes, Jillian, you always say my boyfriend. Does he have a name?
No. That's the thing on social media that's hilarious. Like, somebody actually wrote an article about it, about like Gillian Robertson's mysterious boyfriend.
That's amazing. I'm Googling that.
Yeah. And they're talking about how like I mentioned him in my Instagram post as Sean, but like because he doesn't have an Instagram, so it's like automatically makes him a mystery to the world.
Oh my God, I found it. Essentially Sports. Who is Gillian Robertson's mystery boyfriend? All we know. Can't wait. Can't wait to dive into that.
He was super nice. Like I met him 2-3 times. Good guy.
This is my favorite line. Moreover, after scrutiny and investigation, it can be safely said that her boyfriend's name is Sean. That's the best thing I've seen.
Wow. That is good. That is good.
He's the best. He just doesn't, he's not public about anything. He's not like out there. Like I said, he doesn't have any type of social media. He's just, I don't know. He's just Sean. Yeah, he's just Sean.
Sean's the man, dude. So shout out to Sean. Shout out to all Seans out there. No, he is good. He's always been super nice to me. So shout out to Sean. G, you're the best. We appreciate you. UFC 305 should be a good weekend. We cannot wait. We'll have an awesome watch along. And come through if you want. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh yeah, I'll see you this weekend.
G, check your IG DMs when you hop
I saw you.
Okay. Good.
Whoa. It's a secret DM special.
It's not about you, Dave. It's not about you.
I didn't say it was. Later, G. Talk to you soon. You're the best.
I'll see you.
All right. There we go. Man, I didn't say it was about me. I didn't say that. All right,
Maybe it
there we
is.
go. All right, our next guest is already in the green room. This man had an amazing Friday night. One, he's watching fights, sitting front row at Island Fights 84. Two, matchmaker at Island Fights, matchmaked the amateur card where these guys, these amateurs, are some of the best amateurs in the world. John Gunther can beat UFC fighters today. Great night. They just announced their next show. We'll talk about it. Great post on IG. Let's welcome, he's been on the show multiple times. Haven't seen him in a while. Let's welcome back to the show, Devin Adams. The
What's
Grizzly.
up, brother?
What's up,
What's
man?
up?
How are you, bro?
I'm actually a little disappointed. I thought Maddie was going to be here.
Oh, my gosh.
I just wanted to know how selling her feet's been going. Ever since Orlando, her and Elle, they've been selling their feet, I heard.
Oh gosh. Oh, I kind of forgot about the kick.
Yeah.
That got a little wild. We never capitalized on that. Dave and I were like, we need to make a kick account for me and Maddie to do lives on, and then we just never came to fruition.
Well, that's disappointing.
Unbelievable. All right. First of all, before going into the future, let's go to the past. Friday night, Island Fights 84. I don't want to get hyperbolic. Was it the greatest Island Fights of all time? Was it that damn good, Devin?
I mean, that's what people have been saying, gosh, it was an exciting night for sure. We've had some huge names on cards before. We've had Jorge Masvidal grappling on a card before, big things have happened, but and this may not have had those giant names, but it had incredible fights. The energy was just through the roof the whole time. The building was packed out, celebrities in the house. It was incredible. Cool commentary team. Yeah.
We acknowledge. We acknowledge.
Jimmy was there.
That commentary team was pretty damn good. It was good. I will tell you that. But there were so many highlights, but we can't go any longer without not mentioning the felony. Getting his first win, getting the win back, getting a submission win in the second round, doing backflips all over the place. Charles Felony getting a win.
That's literally what I was going to say. Like, what's a bigger moment than a guy snapping an 8-year losing streak?
Charles is awesome. And I thought this was just a great fight. Justin Howard, he's a guy that's been around Island Fights for such a long time. He's fought the best of the best. Boxed Freddie Wilhite, boxed Devin Cushing back in the day. Who else he fought? Mike Barnett.
He fought Jason Knight, first game bare knuckle.
No, I'm talking about Justin Howard.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah, Justin Howard.
Yeah, to give a fight like against a legend like Felony is, to somebody that's been with us for so long, I just thought it was super cool. And it was definitely a fight Justin was winning and could win, but yeah, he's boxed Devin Cushing, one of the best up and coming boxers in the world. Freddie Wilhite, Chase Rowden, another great guy. He's been fighting on Combat Night recently. Mike Barnett. It's just the list goes on of who this guy's fought, and to have him get that opportunity, I just thought that was really cool. And then for Charles, coming from, he was in the prison about 20 minutes down the road from Pensacola.
Wow.
First win back with us. That's pretty cool too,
It's full circle, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. So a little bit of breaking news, maybe if you haven't seen it. Island Fights 85 is back on Friday, October 25th. That's pretty cool. That fight poster is nice.
Yeah, little Halloween fight poster. I like it. Oh, fell down.
Dude, so wow. Yeah, that's just true. That's all. Let's acknowledge what office you're in right now.
Oh, I'm in the USO office. Wait, where?
Acknowledge.
He's got some stuff in here somewhere.
Oh, I know.
Is the deer in there?
Oh yeah, the deer's in.
Yeah. The deer won the championship with Elle Dawson. So
It's my favorite
we
video.
talked about Bennett. The tendon on a couple of the other ones, Devin. Like I said, I do want to go back to the Gunther and Cam will definitely hit about for sure. I know that's very Pensacola home, but probably maybe the star of the night, maybe the performance of the night, Blake Anthony. was flawless to me. I kept on saying on commentary, to me, it was very Max Holloway-ish, what he did to Calvin Kattar, almost never touched with striking with an ample amount. Blake Anthony was flawless.
Yeah, Blake's, and he's been like this the entire time I've seen him fight. You know, he's a former amateur featherweight champion for us too. But to see him as a pro doing somebody like that is just incredible. His movement, his timing, his distance, everything. He's the total package. I'm sure he's got a lot of things to work on, and he's going to get better everywhere. But if you can't take him down, there's absolutely no chance. And you say Max Holloway, I saw a little Connor in there too.
Woo!
And timing and everything is just perfect.
So fast.
Yeah.
I feel like at 3-0, it's unusual to see 3-0 pros that look that composed. And Zellner's a tough guy in his own right as well.
He fought in the PFL, high-level vet. He's a good fighter, really good.
It's really impressive. And I feel like you guys are doing such a good job of this. I feel like people are getting into the UFC younger and younger, and in some cases almost too young. Do you feel like you guys are more focused on developing guys on the regional scene and giving them those opportunities beforehand so that they can develop into really high-level guys?
Absolutely. You can talk to any of the coaches and the fighters that I deal with. For me, I want them to be pro ready when they turn pro. So as an amateur, their last 4 or 5 amateur fights, they're going to fight guys tougher than they'll ever see in their first 4 pro fights. I try to match them up with the hardest fights possible. Cam Bennett, let him see everything. John Gunther moved up a weight class to fight the champion of the next weight class because that was the toughest fight he could get. That's what we're trying to do with these guys. And when they get to be pros, you see Blake Anthony at 3-0 put on shows.
Crushing it.
It's insane. Another guy who had a great night and is about to have a really good 2 weeks with a huge opportunity. Tyler Zombie Hill has fought for under the Dean Tool promotion banner numerous of times. If it's Game Bred, Bare Knuckle, Island fights. I still remember that fight against Brock Weaver when Dana White was supposed to be there and all that nature. Tyler Hill gets a really big upset, defeating a 3-0 Clay Witt first round TKO. Looks like he's moving to Washington, D.C. and going to fight for the PFL. Devin, what a big opportunity he had on Friday and took everything.
Yeah, this is big for Tyler. He's fought on the PFL before, and he's fought for us 100 times, like you said. And my favorite Tyler Hill fight's the Socrates Pierre fight. That one,
insane. It's one of the best fights of all time.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool to see guys that fight for us immediately get bigger opportunities. And, especially Tyler, he's been through the ringer. Like, Tyler takes all the fights. Anything you offer him, he's going to fight, and he's going to bring it. He's got great striking. He's always fun to watch. And he's a great guy, firefighter, just like Clay, firefighters, just putting on shows.
I love it. Yeah, guys, if you haven't, YouTube it, go to Island Fights on YouTube. For one, sub that channel. Pretty good channel. You might hear some great commentary a lot on it. But if you sub that channel, put in Tyler Hill versus Socrates Pierre. I was sitting ringside. Maybe I was sitting right next to Devin. I'm not too sure. It's one of the greatest fights you will ever see in your life. It's 15 minutes of just chaos. It's insane. Both men didn't move back. It's insane. It's chaotic. Before talking about chaos, and we will about that main event, I want to go to this boxing fight. I felt like it's been underrated since that night to now. Maybe 2 not high big level names, but Stokes and Bad News Hicks Jr., right? Like, what? Yeah, insane boxing.
I don't like watching boxing. The higher level the boxing match, with the exception of a handful of guys, but the higher level the boxing match, usually the more boring I find it. What an incredible fight. Super technical, super exciting, high volume, nuts.
And again, it's with us, we like to put on great fights. So a lot of boxers, they'll fight nobody for their first, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights. And because they just need to get there because their career doesn't really start till they're 15-0. But we put 2 good guys against each other, and that's what we come up with, and Elliot Hicks has tried to fight on Island Fights multiple times. I haven't been able to get a match as an amateur, and then now that he's pro, it was exciting to see it happen, finally come to fruition for him. And Corey Stokes, he's been around for a while. He's a local guy, and it's just great. I like seeing it. Both two humble guys. Daisy caught beautiful picture of Elliot and his coach celebrating the victory. I thought that was cool because Daisy's the best photographer. So
Hands
the goat.
down.
She's the goat.
She's
The best picture of the night is Tyler Hill hugging Dave. That was so cute.
Or the way Dave was looking at Charles. I couldn't decide on that one.
That was pretty cool.
She got one good of me looking at Nick at the last event. I was like, yeah, find you a man like that looks like Pinto.
Well, a lot of people look like Nick that way sometimes, but let's keep him forward. Let's talk about that main event. Frank Tate defeats Dylan Kleckler. Already, I've seen kind of both sides already talking. There's just unfinished business. Let's just say that. Some shots to it seems like the back of the head. I've seen videos already. Have you seen it? Have you talked to any side since Friday night?
Not since Friday night. I talked with Frank Tate's coach a little after the event, and they're down for the trilogy for sure. So I don't know. It's just cool to see two OGs. Let's just be real. Like Dylan is the Island Fights OG. So there's nobody more original or more gangster than Dylan Kleckler. So except for maybe Dean Toole, but to watch him fight, 44 years old, like he's still wanting to do this. He's still putting in the work, still in great shape. They were just slugging it out. And there might have been some shots to the back of the head, but I'm sure it wasn't intentional, or I hope it wasn't intentional anyways, But when two big boys are slinging those hands like that, there ain't no telling where they're going to land.
For sure. Chris, that was my next thing, and then I was going to go to the amateurs. I'm happy you put it on here for us. First pro fight of the night. I think everyone's favorite, one of their favorite men on fought for Island Fights before. Anson Swindle, just a great man, great guy. I think a friend of all of ours. Langston Sykes, I switched his nickname. I know his nickname, I believe, is Blaze. To me, he's the human highlight. He just has some of the best highlights for Island Fights. Another one on Friday night, a first round, crazy knockout. If you haven't seen it, go back to Island Fights YouTube channel. Watch that fight. You will see one of the craziest knockouts of the year so far. Dev Sykes versus Swindle knockout. Nuts.
Yeah, it was, again, just that night, the whole night just kept getting better and better, But when I put that fight together, I knew it was going to be fireworks. So Anson is always bringing it, no matter what, win or lose. He's just there to fight, and that fight meant a lot to him. So to be able to fight on Island Fights as a pro as many times as he did as an amateur, to fight for us as a pro meant a lot to him. So I hate that it went the way it did for him, but I love it for Langston. Like you said, yeah. Highlights. One of the sickest head kick knockouts I've ever seen against another high level guy. So it's just fun, like let's put fun fights together so the crowd loves it. And there was a lot of times when that fight, Anson could have won standing on the feet. I thought he had a heel hook at one point that he was going to take out Langston with. He had armbar attempts, multiple armbar attempts. Anson's just dangerous everywhere. But on that night, Langston put it on him.
That's for sure. Elle, I know you were super impressed about the amateurs. What did you think about those amateur fighters? What did you have for Dev?
Yeah, like the first fight of the night, there was a 16-year-old kid, right? He's just a baby,
Yeah. Or he actually turned 17 yesterday.
Wow.
He trains over in Mississippi with Josh Weems. He's been on a lot of our Game Bred cards, and his uncle Jonathan Jackson is another great guy that I'd love to have fight for Game Bred too. I think he'd have some incredible fights. Surrounded by great dudes, Caleb Harris from the BKFC. Yeah. So, he's young, but he's been putting in work. So we'll see what's next for him. Hopefully we can have him back down in October. And it'll be 17, and we can put it on his record. It wouldn't be an exhibition anymore, which he would be happy with that. So
these kids are starting younger and younger. The second fight of the night, I was super impressed with too, like the amateur kickboxers.
Those two 17-year-old Muay Thai guys, like
so technical.
Yeah, they're it's getting to the point where if you're not starting when you're 4 years old, 5 years old, you're going to be behind. So these kids just keep coming out.
It's wild.
Before they chop us up and feed us to the fishes, let's show some love to John Gunther and Cam Bennett, main event winners. Team Remedy, shout out to them. Man, it was cool. So Cam Bennett gets the win. Like I said, I said it earlier, Dev. I don't know if you were watching it. We had a little bit of an intermission, ran back there, used the restroom. We're talking for 4 or 5 straight hours. Maybe we're drinking some tequila, the best tequila in Pensacola, Ascente tequila, right? So maybe we got to go. But I see Cam back there, and he's like super disappointed. Even his post-fight was disappointed. I'm like, I ran into him. I said like 8 words. I'm like, brother, you got the win. Like, you won the fight. At the end of the day, for one, especially as an amateur, it's a learning lesson, and you won. You win, and you keep moving on in this game. That's the most important thing, I think, than anything, is to keep winning. So I was like, dude, keep your head up. You won. Let's keep going. And that's all I said to him, kept it rolling. But Cam gets the win. John Gunther looked incredible. Like, I'm not even bullshit. I think John Gunther could beat some even UFC type of guys right now. I think that highly of him.
Who knows what John Gunther can do? When he started training at Remedy, I think when he was 15 or 16, and there was a bunch of pro fighters in there. Me, Max Mustaki, Matt McKeon, Cody Herbert. He was one of our favorite people to train with at 15 or 16 years old, because he was, first of all, he was still about the same size, about 190 pounds, and all go the whole time. If you got a good position, he was fighting you to the death to get out of it. And if he was able to get you on your back, good luck. So the kid is going to be phenomenal. He spent a month in Thailand training Muay Thai prior to this fight. He put in the work. He puts in the work. It's cool to see these guys. He's a nurse. So, to see him, he's got a career set up for the outside, but he just wants to smash people. So
wow,
that's what he's going to do.
What's the move for him? Like, do you feel like, is there a certain date he's trying to make that pro debut?
We've been talking. I've been talking with his coaches. We're probably pretty close, if not already there. If I can get one more big test for him, I think that would be best. But man, he's pretty solid as it is right now. So I'd love to see one more for him, but I'd love to see him fight pro too. So.
Yeah, I'd love to watch him again. I'm so impressed. I'm really, really impressed with the amateurs. Obviously, the pro fights were also fantastic, but just really incredible young talents.
His opponent's been around for a while, and he won his
so good.
Fast.
He was a champ for a reason. At Island Fights, like, you guys don't just give out belts for free there.
No, never. And Akeem McAfee is legit. That just wasn't his night that night, but I'm sure he's coming back. He's training with a good team over in Crestview with Gracie Baja, Bobby Emmons, and Matt McKeon, the head coaches. So we'll see what's next for him. I think he'll be back sooner than later. I'd love to see him kind of get down to 172. I've talked about it with the coaches a couple times. He's a big boy, but he walks light from what I understand. So 90-ish, same as Gunther. So he get with a nutritionist and figure that out. At 70 with his long reach, it could be very deadly.
Island Fights 85 is back Friday, October 25th. Make sure you get your tickets. Tickets are on sale this Friday at Ticketmaster.com. There you go. Devin, is there anything else in the works? I know the team does a lot of stuff. There's a lot of other promotions under the banner. Are we going to see anything else in the near future?
From everybody, or?
Yeah, any other Dean Tool promotion show?
Yeah, we got some game bred stuff coming up. Working on that today. It's going to be an incredible show. I don't think I can announce anything yet, but some of the most fun matchups you can imagine. Some old school guys, some rematches, some new fight. You know, it's just going to be some fun things. Two guys that you from the same area that you would love to see fight each other, and you would have thought about it until Dean Tool put it in your head. That kind of those kind of things, you know.
Insane! Wow, it sounds like it's gonna be a bananas night. Sounds like it's gonna be a bananas night. Sometime in the fall, sometime in the near future, we'll see it very soon. You going to Las Vegas? You going to go see Canelo fight?
No, but man, my roofers, they keep calling me Canelo for some reason. I don't know.
You look like him?
I guess the beard, man.
There's some red there.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well,
I
guess I guess we're heading out to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Whoa. Look at Daisy. Daisy's trying to get the gossip right off the bat. Get the gossip.
Oh, Daisy got to see the board. She knows what's going on.
Text us, Daisy.
Yeah.
She knows the board. But guys, this Friday, tickets are on sale. Island Fights 85, October 25th, the Halloween edition. Dean just putting this out there. We're putting it on the chat.
There it is.
That's the one I was talking about.
Woo!
Jesus. That's the fight that we didn't know we needed.
How good is that fight?
That's a banger.
Wide open.
God. Jason Knight's just one of those guys that's like Gillian was talking about guys who just show up to fight. Yeah. Jason Knight has always been that
guy. I'd watch a Josh Weems fight every day. I'd watch a Jason Knight fight every day. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one. I know that.
All you need is a Charles Bennett fight versus or Joe Penifel on the card. It's probably the greatest card in the history of fights.
Yeah, as long as the party is the party all the time too. I don't know. Maybe we can do that rematch for Justin Howard on Game Bread too. He can get.
I like that. Yeah, Justin Howard didn't like it. I don't know. We'll see.
He he felt like he was cheated. Got some fouls. He wants the rematch. So we're down to give it to him if that's what he wants to do. Like I said, to give him that opportunity against a legend is just like super cool to me, you know, a guy that's been with Island Fights since the beginning, really, and fought everybody, all the tough guys. It's just cool to give him that opportunity. And if he feels like he was cheated, then let's write it. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Down too.
I talked to Dean over the weekend. All right, Dean, you're getting out of hand, Dean. You're getting out of hand. I'm putting this down. You're getting out of hand. That picture of Bennett flipping, there's just some iconic moments, and I'm sorry, Daisy, we're gonna shout you out again. That picture that Daisy got of Charles Bennett doing the flip is insane. It's like one of those iconics that could be at the office, you know, over that white couch. That is a once in a lifetime picture, I think.
I wouldn't put it over that white couch because that Brandon Davis Max Mustaki picture that's the one that's on point.
Do you have a Max Mustaki story about Columbus, Georgia? Is there a story you can tell to the fine people here at Fight Bananas?
No, we can't do that. Man, somebody had to light Iron on fire in Columbus, and so I've had to put a stop to it, you know? And
so you're telling the story. I thought you said you can't tell the story.
Hell yeah. They tried to light my boy on fire. That ain't right.
Yeah.
So we're in a bar, and of course, Dean's buying everybody the whole bar drinks the whole night. So the locals get a little upset about stuff like that. You got Dean with his Louis Vuitton shoes on, buying everybody drinks. All the fighters in there. Chris Barnett was there, Max Mustaki, and it's like, all right, this dude tries to light Iron on fire, and we're like, what in the world's going on here? So, you know, I just pushed his lighter away, and the dude wants to get in my face. And before I have a chance to do anything, Max is in there, and Max shut the whole bar down. He said, ain't nobody doing nothing. And we basically had to fight our way out of the bar.
That's a shoot, brother. That's a shoot. And the funny thing is, if you guys remember, that's when I had a Suburban. So I had a Suburban. I'm not lying now. I had 14, 13 grown men. Most of them are fighters. Most of them are 6'3", 220, 210. Everyone's jumping in the Suburban because we're flying out of there. Remember? I saved that guy's life. Remember, a guy jumped in front of my car trying to fight all 13 of us. Yeah. I saved that man's life. I remember people wanted to get out of there. Max and Dean was like, let me out. I'm like,
gosh. I feel like I don't even need to talk on the show anymore. It's just Dave and story time. I'm just here.
Elle, we need you. What was your favorite story about Pensacola this past weekend, Elle?
Oh my gosh. It's got I feel like Charles Bennett was just the main event. Yeah, like the iconic Charles Bennett walkouts, the celebration, like getting to see him get a win for the first time in a while. It's just iconic.
There you go. Dean says if Elle Dawson was there, that would have never happened. That's a good point. That's a good point.
She would have slammed that first dude on his head, and that would have been it.
Elle Dawson, how good was Waffle House at 1:30 at night after not eating?
Oh my gosh, guys, I have not had Waffle House in so long. Obviously, I was absolutely wrecked. My stomach was horrible the next day, but Dave and I were so hungry when we left Island Fights and there was nothing open. We're like, yeah, we need to go to Waffle House. That was the only solution, was hash browns and eggs, cheesy eggs at 1 a.m.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Or a Whataburger.
Right, that's what I got, actually. Dude, is there anything else, Dev? Is there I thought the show was incredible. I say it all the time. Just the atmosphere was electric. The packed house. It was to me, it was probably the best Island Fights I've ever been to. I've been to probably 20 of them. Island Fights 84 was one for the ages for sure. Phenomenal show.
We'll get ready to say that for the next one too.
We already talked
about it for 7 minutes. Yeah, that we started this whole thing about Blake Anthony. Blake Anthony's performance was as high level as you can get. When you can be so offensive but then defensive on the same thing, because there's so many fighters like Mike Perry, you can be offensive but you're getting hit. You're just getting banged. Right. Like Blake Anthony's not like that. He was being so offensive and then just never getting touched back. It was so impressive.
Yeah, ideally that's the best way to fight. Some of us just don't have those skills.
You're probably right. How many have I been to? Actually, yeah, you're right. I remember Island Fights 48. So it's Island Fights 84. So it's a lot more than 20.
I think my second favorite part of Island Fights was some very unruly drunk guy in the crowd started came right up to the gate and started yelling. Yes. Seeing Dean get up out of his chair, I was like, oh.
Dude, Dean Toole almost murdered someone in the crowd. That's a true story. That's a true story.
Not having it.
His brother Ryan almost murdered someone. Dude, this is what a night. What a night.
Hey, you're not allowed to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Nothing with Ryan.
Dean big brother.
Yeah.
Dean took care.
You can't talk trash to the you can't talk trash to the fighters, man. You can't do that. So Dean had to stand on business.
I had to send him out the building.
Yeah. Stand on business. All right, we're out of here. Well, we got 8 more minutes of the show. Devin, we appreciate you. Hey, who's going to win the UFC 305 main event? Is it going to be Izzy or DDP?
Izzy.
Okay.
I got Izzy.
I like it. All right.
It's the first person to agree with Dave today.
I know. Really? First person. I'm the only one. I'm on Izzy Island by myself. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Izzy Island by myself.
I'm there with you.
There you go. So me and Devin. Yeah, we're on the island of relevancy. Oh. Dude, Jimmy Uso was at Island Fights, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. You got superstars everywhere, UFC fighters everywhere. It was a party. It was a scene at Island Fights 84.
I think that's one of the more fun things about Island Fights is you just never know who's showing up. So it could be anybody. I think Dean's got Tom Cruise coming to the next one. So
what?
He's gonna jump
earlier.
He's gonna jump off the base center?
Yeah.
If he doesn't Mission Impossible into the arena, I'll be so disappointed.
Nick Pinto got me the picture with Jimmy Uso, and Nick got yelled at. So Thank you, Nick. We acknowledge Nick Pinto. Thank you, Nick.
Dean yelled at Nick.
It's Nick at 12 o'clock at night. So you know what I mean.
That's true.
Doesn't he get yelled at by everyone?
There's Nick and then there's Nick.
Who did he spit on?
Oh man, dude, no, dude. I'm not even joking when I say, dude, Nick Pinto. Everyone needs Nick Pinto in their life. I absolutely love that man. Shout out to Nick Pinto everywhere. There you go. But Devin, we appreciate your time, brother. Hey, Island Fights is back October 25th. It's a Friday. I love Friday fights. It's the best. There you go. I didn't even know Nick was watching. Shout out, Nick. We love you, brother. We do.
Yeah, we're looking at 3, maybe 4 title fights too. So let's get some good fights going.
Wow. That's incredible. That's some good stuff. When you have some of these big fight announcements, can you come back on the show to announce some of these fights?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to announce one today, but a certain coach wouldn't give me the go-ahead, so I'm waiting.
Wow. Man, I guess Knight and Weems could be something fun, huh?
Oh, man, yeah.
Could be. If that came to fruition, maybe or maybe not.
Yeah. That would be a cool one to see.
Unbelievable. But all right. Shout out to all you guys out there. Even Chris. Chris in the comments, Nick Pinto. Dude, this became the Nick Pinto show. Look at that. Everyone deserves a show. Dude,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, Dev. Appreciate you, brother.
Nick to be the next guest.
Tom?
Nick's got to be the next guest.
Send him the link.
Yeah.
Come on for the last 10 minutes.
We need to wait for a long time. I don't know. Hey, I'm excited. October 25th. It's the last Friday before Halloween. So come on. Nick is looking for sponsors. Oh, goodness. We're not sending Nick Pinto the link. We love Nick. I love Nick. I'm not sending Nick the link, all right? This is a high-level show. Ariel Helwani quit. We are the new face of MMA media. Nick Pinto is not getting a damn link.
Dave, when we starting our WWE and wrestling show?
It might happen, brother. Might happen. The TKO.
Let's do it.
Happen. So, yeah, Ariel Helwani's done. We might see him on Mondays now.
Really?
This is the only afternoon show now. We're the only
out of the combat sports scene. Fight Bananas is the only live MMA space.
Wow.
Biz. Hey.
Nobody deserves more either. Putting in that work.
Oh my goodness. All right, wait a second. Okay. All right, I'm sending the link. We got 8 more minutes to this phenomenal show. We might get an Emmy for how good this show is, okay? This has been one of our best ever.
Oh,
Devin's gone. Oh, Dean Tool with a little news. He goes, Ariel isn't out.
Dean, why don't you come on? Come talk. Yeah, come talk with us for the last 8 minutes.
I think Ariel is going to do his own thing. I think it's going to be like the Ariel Helwani show. Like,
I agree.
It's going to be his
or
own
maybe he'll
thing.
jump to, like you're saying, like maybe he'll jump to cover some other sports and he won't be exclusively combat sports.
Yeah, I think so too. Do a little ESPN, a little WWE, a little Netflix, a little Jake Paul. He loves Jake Paul. Much bigger deal. Whoa. Dean knows all this. Dean knows the scoop already. He already knows it. Unbelievable. Dude, look at this. I just got a couple of just brought it to the office.
Okay, well, he's not Nick, but
look at that.
Oh, where'd he go?
Unbelievable.
Ryan, come back.
Dude, I love Ryan Tool.
Where'd you go?
Dana might have a job for you soon, David. Dude, I love what I'm doing here, man. Like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I love this. I can't leave my people. Look at this. You got Major Wright, Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA. Nick Pinto, you got 7 minutes, Nick.
We almost had Ryan Tool.
Look at this. You got Dean Tool, Pearl Gonzalez. All right, here we go. So this guy's a legend in the fight game. Been around the block once or twice. One of the strongest men in all of MMA. the one and only, the true legend, Nick Pinto.
Dude, definitely not.
What's up, bro?
Office. What's up, man? How you doing, dude?
Put your phone away.
Dude,
Look at the fucking thing, all right? Look how fucking swole that boy is right there.
We've been in the gym over here, cuz. What y'all been doing?
Nick, I don't know why you ever wear sleeves.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Why would you?
What you lifting, bro? What you pushing?
Hey, we on that Dean Tool program, bro. You know what I'm saying? Shit. We're looking for sponsors for the next Island Fights, October 25th. Anybody interested, let us know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I heard Jazzercise needs some new promotions. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. You want me to link you up with the number?
Yeah, appreciate that. Send that my way, please, sir.
I got you. That's done. Already sent. Already sent. Hey, we just want to say here at Fight Bananas, we appreciate you taking that great picture. My son hasn't not stopped talking about it. He thinks thinks I'm pretty cool because I got a picture with Jimmy Uso, bro. Appreciate it.
Start shaking with
Anything for you, Dave. Anything for you.
Thanks, bro.
Sorry, I got a bunch of people in the peanut gallery making comments over here. So you know how this goes at the office. Sitting at the
Hey,
conference room.
what's on the board? Is there any new fight announcements on the board?
Hold on. Can't be announcing those. Gotta hide that. There we go.
Wait, no, zoom in, Dave. How do you make that the whole screen?
Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at
Sit
that.
right there.
Hey,
Here we
appreciate
go.
you.
Back to the sit over there.
What are we doing?
So people can see the-
Oh, sorry. Now I gotta change angles. You were trying to get too much.
Unbelievable. Hey, no, Nick, we'll let you go, man. Hey.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for the.
No, we appreciate you, Nick.
Bro.
I got something for you guys.
Oh. Yes, Dean Tool. Yes,
How do
sir.
you flip the camera?
Bottom right button.
Oh, here we go.
What you got going on? Uh-oh. Chase Sherman
versus Maurice Green.
Green.
You read that wrong.
What?
You read that wrong.
I did?
I don't know, man.
He goes, I don't know, man.
Brandon Davis.
Wow, what a fight. What a fight, man. Hey. You have what month could that show be in?
October.
Oh, October. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you excited to see a Southpaw boxer? Is that the one and only Ryan Tool? All right.
Somebody's gonna cut up the show and like zoom in on all of Dean's whiteboards. Internet, do your job.
Yeah, internet, we need you. Woo! Look at that.
Let me see here. I don't know what we have right there. Let me see if we got something else in here.
Oh, the secret whiteboard.
Wait. We don't show anybody that board. Sorry.
That's the secret whiteboard, man.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Hey, look at there. Small world.
All right, boys. You guys are unbelievable. Randy Costa versus Brandy Davis. Did the people read that correct?
Nope.
I don't know if you did or not, Daisy. Don't know.
What are you doing here? Can we get off the
All
camera?
right. Boys, you guys are the best. We appreciate you. We
They
love you
can't
guys.
continue to flex.
You guys are unbelievable. All right.
Oh, my
Unbelievable.
goodness. I
Dude,
feel
we're
like
gonna
we'll
get
just
an Emmy.
unravel after like an hour 45.
We're gonna
That's
get
when
it,
we-
dude. We're gonna get an Emmy. Ariel Hawani can only dream of doing a show that good. All right, guys. An hour. We got 2 minutes left. We want to thank everyone. Thank all of our sponsors. John Piersma was awesome. James Lynch brought the heat. Gillian the Savage Robertson. Of course, Devin Adams was phenomenal. And Elle, we appreciate you, dude. You got PFL Hollywood this whole week. You got a busy week.
I do. I will be. I'm not going to make it to. I believe they're doing an open workout today in Miami. I'm not going to make it to that. I think it might have already happened, but I will be at Media Day tomorrow all morning. And then I will be at weigh-ins on Thursday and the fights on Friday.
Incredible. It's wild. I'm skipping the show. I feel like I'm doing a mature father thing. I was planning on being there, and I'm just like, no, staying home. Good family week, much needed. All the kids are at school, very busy. And yeah, we got to, like I said, look at this. Dean Toole. Elle Dawson and Dean Toole.
Text me, Dean. Let's go get lunch. Let's do it.
Look at that. There we go. And then Saturday night, guys, Saturday night, we have the UFC 305 watch along. If you want to save $80, just come here in Fight Bananas Land. We're going to talk about the fights. We'll give you the gossip of what's happening blow by blow. So there you go. I should drive south after Island fights in Miami. Hey, Daisy, come.
Yeah, bring Daisy with you, Dean.
There you go.
Road trip,
dude. Daisy would get the shots. Hey, man, we got to hire, dude. Maybe Fight Bananas has to hire Daisy to take pictures and shots at the show.
It sounds like a great idea. I'm just saying.
Look at that. That's what we're talking about. All right, guys. People helping people. Elle Dawson, last chance. Gamrot, Hooker, Usyk, Kai, Izzy, DDP. Who do you got right now?
Oh my gosh. Okay. You said just the last 3 fights?
Yep.
Gamrot. Kai. I'm going to go Kai. I'm very back and forth on that. It's not a confident pick. And DDP.
Gamrot, Kai, Izzy. There you go.
My guy,
right,
Christian.
we officially made it to 2 hours. Christian, that's a good pick. Good pick. Yeah, there we go.
I agree.
We are out. Bet and Bananas tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We got Boxing Bananas on Friday, and then our live show Saturday. Elle Dawson will be at PFL Hollywood all week long. So can continue. There'll be live stuff, live footage, reels, shows from PFL Hollywood, exclusive content you can only get here at Fight Bananas. Have a good day. We appreciate. Go to Jazzercise today. Use the promo code Fight Bananas for 15% off your order. Shout out to you, Jazzercise. Thank you. We'll see you guys next week here at the Fight Bananas Show. Cheers.